lunch. Today it's going to be fried corn and mozzarella cakes, something to make on the griddle. So we're going to start again. I have all the recipe, the ingredients, and the tools that I need are all out. And just for the video, I've pre-measured a couple of things. I've pre-measured the cornmeal and the masa that we need, and then we're going to measure the flour and all the other ingredients. But to start, we have to cook the corn and the shallots. These are going to be two of the fresh ingredients. So I'm going to cut off both ends of the corn and peel back the husk. Making sure I get all the silk that I can off of the corn. Okay, that should be good. Toss all this in the trash. And then rinse and dry the corn. And this is an easy way to get these ears off the corn, is just to cut down from the top. And again, watch your fingers. Okay, there we go. That's going to be the corn. And I've already started heating 2 teaspoons of olive oil in the frying pan. I'm going to start by cooking the corn in there. So it's the corn from one ear of corn. The recipe says to add the shallot to that. So I'm going to mince 2 tablespoons of shallot. I'll start with about that much. Then we'll measure that. See if we have 2 tablespoons. Okay, there's 1 tablespoon. And 2. Now let's see, it says heat it, and a half teaspoon of salt. Start stirring that. Heat down a little. And this says to heat for about 5 minutes. So that's why I'm turning the heat down a little. I don't want it to burn. Wish you could smell this. put that on simmer while we look at what's next. While that's cooking, combine eggs and cream in a mixing bowl and whisk. Okay, so the cream is 1 cup. When you buy a pint, that's a cup. I'm sorry, a half a pint is a cup. So I don't need to measure this. A pint is 2 cups. So right there, we've got 8 ounces of heavy cream. And it says to mix it with the eggs. So 2 large eggs. You have to be very careful when you're dropping eggs in to make sure you don't drop in any shell. Okay, time to go and check the corn. And that's about it. I'm going to turn the heat off on the corn. All right. Get the whisk. I always like to make sure the first thing I do is break the yolks. One time on a Girl Scout trip, we made ice cream using fresh eggs, and a couple of the yolks were solid in the ice cream. So make sure we break those. I was one of the ones who got a yolk. To this, we're going to add the cornmeal, flour, and then the masa. So start with the cornmeal. The cornmeal was 3/4 cup. Next is the flour. The flour, we measure out a half cup, and that's just your regular bleached flour. So I have a 1/4 cup here. I'm just going to do 2 1/4 cups. And when you're measuring flour, it's easiest to just use your knife to make sure you have, there's 1/4, and I'll do 1 more 1/4 cup. Whisk that next. And the next dry ingredient is the masa. And I've measured out a half cup of masa flour. This is the kind of flour they use when making tamales. I'm going to stop for a minute and turn on the griddle. So you have a choice. If you happen to have a griddle, I prefer using that to cook corn cakes on, pancakes, anything like that. So we're going to use the griddle on our stove. Let me heat that up. Okay. But you could also clean this pan out and cook your corn cakes in any type of a frying pan. All right, next. I'm going to stop using the whisk here and start mixing with a fork. It'll be a little easier. If I can get most of the ingredients out. Okay. All right, next in here, we're going to add baking powder. So our baking powder, 2 teaspoons. 1 teaspoon. This makes it easy to measure. 1, 2. Okay, Next, you can use cayenne pepper. I have a Mexican spice. I'm going to use anything in that family. So I'm going to use Mexican spice blend. And that measures 1/8 of a teaspoon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 1/4 teaspoon and try and do about half of that. I'll give you a hint. Usually when you're making a meal, you can fudge a little bit and change the ingredients a little bit. When you're baking, don't do that. Baking needs to be exact, so that's going to be about the right amount of Mexican seasoning. Okay, next, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. This one has a lot of ingredients, but it's really not that hard. And water. So in this one, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of water. I have a cup of water out, so I'm just going to measure that to about 3/4 of a cup. Being careful here not to spill. Okay, mix well. And then we have to fold in the corn and shallots. All right, let me show you what folding in means. So I'm going to take the fork out. And I'm going to use this spatula to fold it in. So I put them all on top. All the corn and shallots. Looks so good. And when you fold something in, kind of like folding a piece of paper, you do it very gently, like this. All right, let me make sure we have everything. Next will be the cheese. So stir in the cheese. So let's measure mozzarella, 6 ounces. And I bought 8 ounces. So I'm going to use almost all of the grated. I bought whole milk mozzarella. Again, I wish you could smell this. It smells so good. So I'm just going to leave about 2 ounces left in the package. Again, it's okay to eyeball it. Fold in the cheese. Okay. Ooh, the griddle's getting hot. I'm going to drop it 2 tablespoons at a time onto the griddle and cook until they're lightly golden on both sides, okay? So I'm going to start with the oil. I'm going to put about 2 teaspoons of vegetable oil on the griddle. There's about one. That's about right. I can tell it's already getting hot. I'm not going to make the whole batter, but it looks like here you'd have enough for a family. It looks like we'll end up with about 12 cakes, which is a good amount for dinner or for lunch. While that's cooking, I'm going to get a plate with paper towels on it to drain them when they're done cooking. Luke's going to share these recipes from today with you online, and you can always check in and let me know how it goes for you. And we'd like to know if you're cooking these, do a video and send it to us. Show how it goes for you. Okay, it said to cook them till they're light golden, and I think this is doing well. What do you think? I hope you like them, and we'll see what we make next week with a creative view. Bye, everyone.